Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Mama Christine's podcast, Living Life Through Experience. Because how else can we live life without learning as we go through it, right? So, tonight is episode 4. Wow, that month is flying by. It's, when you count something week after week or month after month, that you notice how quickly things go by. And so, yes, this is episode 4, and thank you for joining me and watching, and I hope you find tonight educational. Let's just say that. Okay. So tonight we're going to talk about living life in a way that is beneficial to our own self-care. And we're going to be bouncing all over the place about different things. But of course, I always like to start the evening with picking a card. So life purpose. Let's see what that is, right? Here we go. What do we got? Justice. Wow. So the card itself says your career brings fairness and protection to others who need your help. But in all reality, when we're talking about the self-care aspect of things and living life through experience and so on and so forth, this is how justice prevails for you in your life so that you can live your life easier, happier, with more love, more joy, and more understanding. So that's what justice means in this instance, okay? So you'll find that as you learn to live life through taking care of you, self, right? Things do get easier, they do get better. So let's start back. I'm going to jump back myself. I don't know. Oh my goodness. 30. Oh my. Yeah. Wow. Sorry. I'm sitting there counting like, oh my God, 37 years ago. So I got married 10 days before my 21st birthday, and I was in it to win it, the whole 9 yards. I knew what I was in for. I was very mature. I was ready for this commitment. And I found that over time, I picked someone who, one, I thought loved me very much and probably did and probably still does. I mean, you always have that sense of feelings, especially for that first person you ever fall in love with. But I felt like this was it for me. This was going to be till death do us part, as the tradition says. And it was through that experience, that 10-year experience, that I learned a lot about myself. I found that parts of myself got lost. Parts of myself turned out to be like a little kid because I felt like he was more like the person telling me what to do instead of talking to me about what we should do, and I just kind of went along with it. And I think it was because part of me did not want to lose someone who loved me, even though he wasn't showing me that love that I needed. And, so through those experiences, we learn a lot. And what I did not know then was a thing called self-care, right? Self-care was washing up, taking care of your hair, dressing up, tidying up your house. That was self-care. It wasn't emotional. It wasn't mental. It wasn't spiritual at any point. And between then and now, wow, living life through experience, I am all about the self-care. If I don't feel like doing something, I don't push myself. I balance out my time between work and play and home work. Everybody has a lot on their plate, and how much is too much? And that is something that's been coming up. And the reason why I love this podcast, because when I say living life through experience, it's not always my experience. Sometimes it's people I talk to. Sometimes it's clients. Sometimes it's family, friends. But, without giving you names and scenarios, understand that, a lot of what people talk about can help other people. So meeting with this one person, very involved in the community, lots of things to do. enjoying this activity, that activity, you know, on and on and on. And then suddenly it was almost like, what is going on? Starting to feel like they were falling apart and starting to get to the point where they felt like their plate was so full they couldn't even hold it. And then started to feel such anxiety and stress over it that they were beginning to really dislike what they were doing. Which you don't want to be doing something to the point where now you're starting to hate it. You should do something till the point where it fulfills you. And then if you feel as though it's not fulfilling you anymore, walk away. And that's okay. You know, we're always taught, like, you made a commitment, you have to stay, you have to do it, you have to stay busy, you can't just sit around, you have to. We all heard that when we were younger, you know, and even today, I'm sure lots of people hear that. You made a commitment, you have to stay, you got to stick it out. I don't care how much you hate it. Those people count on you. They're going to be mad. They're going to be upset. And that could be the program that was put into your head, but it can also be something you've carried with you through the years, like this person I was talking with. And she really felt that if she let go, she would be disappointing a lot of people. And I said, you know what? I said, while you're worried so much about disappointing them, why aren't you worried about disappointing yourself? And sometimes that's when people go, whoa, wait a minute, I didn't think of it that way. We do disappoint ourselves quite often, don't we? Why? Because we don't want to say no. We don't want to give up on something we were doing, no matter how much we can't stand it. And, you know, it's like a job. When you get to a point that you can't even get out of bed in the morning because you can't stand going to work, that's a problem. It means it's time to change your job. You got to find something different or somewhere different. So why do we do these things to ourselves? What does it do? It hurts our mental state. It hurts our emotional state. Therefore, it comes out in our physical state. And that's what I see was happening with this person, you know? And there's a few people I've talked to who have had the same scenario. Like, oh, but I have to be here and I have to be there and I have to do this and I have to do that. And I'm like, well, wait a minute, where's everybody else? Why is it all you? Oh, well, you know, I'm the strong one and I'm always, you know, they always count on me. And I'm like, well, maybe you need to tell them they need to start helping. Oh, well, you know, they're busy. And I'm like, aren't you busy? Well, yeah, but okay then. You know, just shared experiences. You have to. Shared experiences is just not spending Christmases together or Thanksgiving or, you know, weddings and things like that. Shared experiences is everyday life. You know, I've met many people over the years where, you know, your parents spend a good chunk of your life raising you, dealing with your bullshit, right? I know there was times I pissed my parents off quite a few times, probably said things and did things I wasn't supposed to and did it anyway and whatever. We all do it. You know, it's part of growing up. And, you know, so let's say they spend the first 20 years really taking care of you, okay? Now what happens? You go on, you live life, you either go to college, you get married, you have kids, you move away, you join a service, whatever it might be. And at some point, now all of a sudden the parents are getting old and the parents need a little extra help. And why can't we turn around and go back and help them? Now, I'm not saying go back and help the ones who treat you like absolute garbage, because to me, again, I've said it a million times, no human being should treat another human being in a bad way. And if they do, set some boundaries and walk away. So I'm going to leave that there. I'm talking about normal families, okay? Everybody's got stuff, but basically everybody gets along, okay? And what happens is 3 siblings, and one is the one that always takes care of mom or dad or their things, or taking them to the doctors or doing this or doing that. It's like, oh, well, you do all that stuff. If there needs any, you know, handiwork around the house, I'll do that. I'm like, but handiwork is once in a great while. If your parent is ill, sick, or whatever, isn't it a lot more work? And why should one person be stuck with it? So in order for you to have self-care before you break down and fall apart, you got to step up and you have to set some boundaries and you have to speak up to your siblings or cousins or friends or whatever you can do and say, hey, I need help. I need help taking care of this person who needs help. And there's nothing wrong with that. That is self-care, because if you fall apart, you're not going to be good for anybody. Think about that, including your own family. So if you've got a family of your own, a spouse, children, and so on, you're not going to be able to take care of yourself or your own family. So you've got to speak up. You've got to ask for help. Some of the other things that have really been on my mind lately about self-care is the mental aspect of it. And May is, of course, Mental Health Awareness Month. And I find that, how do I say this? Years ago, and of course, I'm sure every generation says this. I don't want to sound old, but in reality, years ago, things were very simple. And if you wanted to talk to somebody, you picked up the telephone, turned the rotary dial, pushed the buttons, and called, right? You met up after school, you talked with one another, sent each other notes, things like that. There was communication. There was connectedness. There was no major competitions going on. There was always silly little competitions like, who was better at this, who was better at that. But I'm like, fast forward to now, what is life like right now? Life is out of control. Out of control. And what I mean by that is, if you've seen the Hunger Games, okay, it's quite the series of movies. And in the Hunger Games, you have the piss poor people who live in the dirt, who are paraded around like animals in competitions to be hunted. And then you have the high class people who live in beautiful homes and colorful wigs, colorful makeup, colorful clothing, and everything's a big show. It's like the Met Gala of Hunger Games. And I look at things today and I'm like, wow. Sometimes I feel like that's where we are. What is that? Everybody is doing things, and I understand progress is progress and things change, and we have internet, we have social media. I'm using it myself. I get that. But when you think about what people are doing to get attention on social media, it's crazy. Now, are they doing it just for the simple fact of getting the click so they can get paid? Or are they doing it for attention? I look at that myself. This is my opinion. I look at that as somebody is really missing something here. Somewhere in here, they're missing something. They need attention. And this brings me back to children. So think about the little boy or little girl in school who was always bad. Why were they always bad? A lot of times it's because they came from a broken home. So the only attention they got at home was bad attention. Never good attention. Never the emotional attention that a child looks for. So therefore, in order to get any attention whatsoever, they do something that's bad because it gets them attention. And I feel like a lot of these social media people do that. Look at me. Look what I wrote. Look what I started. I mean, especially on Facebook, I see so much now where you can post on pages, like community pages, as, an anonymous person. And then you read it and it says, what does anybody think about the bear that was seen walking down Main Street? Something stupid like that. And then, of course, everybody starts chiming in. Well, now, all this interaction, what does that do? It's creating attention. That person's getting a ton of attention. Why? Why must we resort to silly things like that to create attention? Why do people have to use AI to create all these fake photographs, these fake stories, because people just jump on that. People are so craved for attention. People are so craved to be right about things. I mean, I watch the people that comment on these things, and it's like, I need to be right. This is what I think this is, and this is, and people start fighting. I mean, it's just, wow. Wow. So, you think these people need some self-care? Do you need some self-care? Being on social media, creating disturbances, and just doing all this crazy talk just to create attention, it's not the way to do it. How do we get the attention we're looking for if we don't have it? It's called self-care. If we spent way more time positively working on ourselves, you're going to find that once you're more happy with yourself, you're not going to go out and about and everywhere looking for that constant attention. You know, let me write something stupid to get people to start clicking on it. Look, everybody's posting on my thing. Everybody's saying everything. I really wish social media was a little more, it doesn't all have to be positive, obviously, but a little more balanced. I'll call it balanced. It's just crazy sometimes what I see. And you know what? It is what it is, and somebody gave us the internet and these social media pages to do it. But again, everybody has a choice to make when it comes to anything they do. So if you feel the need to be on social media all the time, you post and post and post and post in hopes that people will click on your stuff or like it or comment or whatever. Anything anybody does or says on a social media page for you doesn't mean a damn thing. Let me just say that. Do I appreciate when people say to me, oh, because I changed my cover photo today to me and my kids because it's Mother's Day weekend. So, I'm like a crazy person with the holidays. I changed my picture to go with the holiday. And, people say, oh, great picture, whatever. Thank you very much. End of story. You know what I mean? But if you're constantly posting pictures, look at me, look where I am, look what I'm doing, look what this is happening and that's happening. And it's like, you're waiting for people to tell you how great you are. You don't even realize yourself how great you already are. Because if you did, you wouldn't be looking for it outside of yourself. So whether it's social media, whether it's with friends, whether it's at school or at work or wherever, stop looking for everything that you want about yourself outside of yourself. Whatever you're looking for, it's here. It's already in you. You are a beautiful person, an amazing person, right? You are smart. You are grounded. You are positive. You are loving. You are caring. You show so much empathy for other people. And again, people, don't judge. If you get somebody who's not like that, don't judge them. Pray for them. Because you know what? Maybe they're going through something. We've all gotten cranky. We've all said things. We've all done things. And we've all gone through things. So you know what? Don't judge. But inside, we are all a spark of the divine. So if you want your life to have justice and balance, right? The balance of the scales in the justice department, think about that. If you want that, go get it. Like this woman that I talked to about feeling like her plate was like so full, she couldn't take it anymore. She had to put everything aside. And you know what? It worked out perfectly because everybody who she swore was going to be so upset, we're all very supportive. So we judge ourselves, we judge our situations. Don't do that. Because again, even if anybody had gotten upset because she needed to step aside for her own mental health, then that person has an issue. And what everybody else thinks is none of your business anyway. And if they're angry, that's their issue to deal with, not yours. You have to do what's right for you. That is self-care. Self-care is creating boundaries. You know, I have talked to many people that are going through breakups or a divorce or whatever, especially since I went through mine. And it's like, it always seems like whatever I go through, that's the type of clients I end up getting, because I can help them because I've been there, living life through experience. So, you know, we go through these breakups, and yet that other person steps in constantly like, oh, hey, we broke up. Why do you want to talk to me every 5 seconds? I couldn't get you to talk to me before. Now that we split up, you want to talk to me all the time. Oh, well, I think this and I think that, and I think I want this and I want that, and you don't deserve anything. You're split up. You each got a lawyer? Good. Let them deal with it. We feel the need to acknowledge every time somebody talks to us, whether it's negative or positive. And for a lot of people that I've talked to over the years, they have been, oh my God, well, kind of in the same boat as myself, stuck with somebody who had a narcissistic behavior and thought they were entitled to everything, and thought that just because I grabbed a cup of coffee from them one day, that meant I wanted them back home. And it was like, what is going on? You got to learn that even if you have kids, you have to do it for yourself. You have to do it for your kids. If you have a person that is that demanding, that narcissistic, that driving you crazy, when they call, don't answer the phone. I don't know what happened when cell phones came out, but everybody felt entitled that they had to answer the phone every time it rang. No, you don't. And the funny part is, the phone will ring, it'll be your mother, and you're like, yeah, I'll call her later. The ex calls, and you're like, what? Why? Why do we do that? We talk to the negative one, not the positive one. Anywho, just because you have a cell phone does not mean you have to answer it. Okay? If your ex is calling you, don't answer. If you have children, fine. Let them leave a message if it's very important. It has to do with child support, medical care, school, right? Something important, leave a message. If they call and leave a message and it's got nothing to do with any of it, don't even respond. Because the minute you respond, it's like throwing the bait back out and they grab on and they want to come back. Don't do it. Self-care. Mine would call up and go, I don't understand what the kids are upset about. I'm like, well, you said this and you did that. No, I didn't. Yes, you did. No, I didn't. They all came home crying. I don't understand why it wasn't me. This would go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And all of a sudden, this voice was so loud in my head. It was like, if you stop talking, they can't respond. And I went, you have anything else to say? No? Okay, bye. Click. And just like that, didn't even give him the chance. And then every time he called, it's like, you know what? Let him leave a message. If it's important, he'll leave a message. And I just went with that. That's what you got to do. You got to set a boundary. That is self-care. Now, whatever happens between him or her and the children, that you guys will figure out. But again, if it's not a healthy environment for your kids, be mindful of that at the same time. It's between figuring that out and figuring out the law and what's right and what's fair, and it's more involved, obviously. So have self-care. Have those boundaries. Stand up for yourself. Be in your power. Stand up for yourself. Whatever you do, okay? It's important. It is very important, because I've seen people like, oh, well, I feel bad. It's my kid's father. Oh, well, he called, so, he said, now he says this, and now he says that. And I'm like, why are you answering the phone? Well, he texted, so don't text back. Oh, he emailed. If you need emails for court purposes, hold on to the email. Otherwise, don't answer it. Anything that happens, go through your lawyers. That's just the best way to do it, So, of course, there's many other scenarios, too, that we're always giving in to everybody else and what they're doing and what's happening. And, oh, my God, on and on and on and on. Think before you jump into all these things. If somebody says to you, I really could use your help with something, stop for a moment and say, you know what? Let me think about that for a moment. I'll get back to you. You're entitled to have a moment to think about it, okay? You really are. And if the person's like, well, I kind of need to know now, say to yourself right then and there, is this something that I can do right now? Do I have the time? Do I have the energy? Do I really want to do it? Because sometimes we do things out of feeling bad. Okay, fine, I'll do it. But then we're like hating it every minute, right? Don't do that to yourself. Say, well, I'm sorry. If you need an answer right now, I guess the answer is going to have to be no. Maybe next time. Not giving up on things because you're afraid everybody's going to be upset with you, or you're afraid you're letting everybody down. I'm like, emotionally and mentally, you need to take care of yourself. I told somebody this one time. I've told a few people this. Excuse me. Think about this. If a doctor looked at you and the doctor says, okay, you have this that's wrong with you. You will need a treatment of sorts, and you're going to have to come in once a week, once a month to get this done so you can feel better. What do? You do your treatment, you do your medicine, you see your doctor so you can physically get better. Then why don't we do the same thing when we're emotionally and mentally off? And it doesn't have to be mentally ill. It can be mentally exhausted, emotionally exhausted, drained, stressed, anxiety-ridden, right? Why don't we stop for that and take care of it? That is huge. That is self-care. Again, this is May. It's Mental Health Month. Do things for your mental health. And not just because you're having a problem, because you want to do things now to keep you balanced. So what can we do for mental health? For our self-care? We can journal. We can meditate. We can go for walks. We can exercise. We can call a friend. We can watch funny movies. We can go to comedy clubs. Anything that's going to raise your energy. Because if you're mentally drained, what are you doing? You're sitting there and your mind, that hamster wheel, is doing this, thinking and thinking about all the things that are going wrong. So to get out of that, we have to do the opposite. Do any and all of those things that I just mentioned, right? Even the comedy stuff. It doesn't have to be a movie. You can flip through TikTok or Facebook Reels and watch babies laughing and puppies doing silly things and cats, and those things are hysterical. I mean, there's sometimes my sister and I will catch a few videos and we're sitting here laughing. And one of the other ladies who rents here, she's like, oh my God, what are you guys laughing at? I just love your energy. See? Right there. Being upbeat and positive and laughing changes energy. And I know when we're angry, it's like sometimes we're just so angry. It's like you don't want to smile. You don't want to be happy. You want to be angry. That's fine for the moment. Be angry. Process your anger. But get out of it then. Don't stay there. But self-care is a big deal. And there's so many things you can do for self-care. I mentioned exercise. That's not a big thing for me. I've never been a big exercise person, but I will go for walks. I like walking. So my thing for this spring into the summer is going for a lot more walks, especially with my dog. As he's getting older, he needs to keep moving and, keep those joints flexible. So yeah, walk, okay? Maybe you like yoga. Maybe you like Pilates. Maybe you like Tai Chi. Maybe Taekwondo, right? I don't know, whatever it might be. Find your thing. Self-care. Sometimes the exercise aspect of self-care is not to keep you keep you balanced and keep you toned and strong and muscular. It's for this. I know my daughter, when she gets in one of her feelings of, I don't know, depression, stress, anxiety, whatever, it's like off to the gym. off to the gym. You know, it's like punching a bag. You know, it's getting all that frustration out, all that angst out, and so you feel better. You know, self-care is important. But I find, again, the biggest thing that's been bugging me for a while is watching how everybody is, I don't know, craving that attention, doing things to create craziness. And it's like, what has happened to everything and everyone? You know, you read a story and you're like, that's not even real. You know, and these things, oh my God, they look so real. I've seen cats in tuxedos up walking around dancing like they're at a oh my gosh, like one of those dance schools where you learn all those fancy dances, the waltz and all that. I mean, they're doing all those things and it's like, that looks so real, and yet you know it's not. And that's what's happening, is part of our world is turning into, is it real or is it imaginary? Because some of the stuff it's pretty scary what you're seeing out there. You know, so if it doesn't suit you, don't go in that direction. And anything negative is not going to suit you at all. It really isn't, you know? So stay away from the negative stuff. Stay away from people that are negative, that drain your energy. You know, there's a lot of people out there who have friends or family, and it's like, oh, well, you know, they're just going through a time, and it's like, nah. I'm like, there's more to it than that. You know, sometimes you have these people that just constantly complain and complain and complain. And it's sad, really. Because complaining like that is just adding more negative energy to what's going on in your life. So you may have yourself like, I'm doing everything I can to do better, to be in a better place, to improve on my self-care. But yet, excuse me, you're hanging around with people who live in the negative, always complaining, and that doesn't help you. You know, so it's like, sometimes you just got to create a boundary with people. I love you, but I just can't. You know, I would love if we could sit and have conversation, not complain about everything. Let's talk about the weather, a movie you've gone to see. What's going on with you personally without the complaining piece? You know, what are your thoughts? What are your dreams? What are your goals? You know, do you have a vacation plan? What would you like to do if you were going on vacation? Anything. You know, sometimes we just have to talk to those people and help them to understand that they're sounding very negative, and that living in that negative energy is not somewhere you want to be anymore. You know, it is hard to do that, but at the same time, we kind of have to do that. You know, and when you're trying to heal, you got to do everything you can to help yourself. So letting go of negative people, or keeping a boundary with negative people, because you may love them to death, but I just can't do a lot with this person anymore. You need those boundaries. But something you need to do is set boundaries with yourself as well. And what I mean by that is, I've met a lot of people. They come in to see me for Reiki or a reading, but usually it's Reiki. And once they've had their Reiki session, they're like, oh my God, I just feel so much lighter. I feel like a lot of the weight's been lifted off my shoulders. I don't know how to explain, but I just feel so much better. Because Reiki, what it does is it helps to release that negative energy, release blocks in your energy, excuse me, helps with pain, discomfort, so on and so forth. But it's a lot of the emotional, mental stuff that it helps with. And I'm like, I'm glad you feel better. But when you leave here, you have to go back out there into that world. You've got to make changes. Because if you're still living with that abusive spouse, or you're still dealing with your mother who always puts you down every single day, she's got something to say, she's calling you and she's negative and she's this and she's that, or you have that boss, or you have this or that, or whatever it may be, people do not create boundaries in their life. They do not do things or let go of things that help themselves. So what happens is they come in here to me or any place like this, and they get some work done, some energy work or whatever it is. It could be even counseling. You can go to a counselor and complain and talk all about the stuff that's going on with you. And a counselor will do the same. They will help you understand what you're going through, why you're going through it, and how to work past it. But if you don't leave that office and do the work, you're not going to get better. You're going to, you come here, you feel great. I worked on you for an hour, you feel amazing. You leave, you feel amazing. You go home, and here it comes. Boom, ba-boom, ba-boom, ba-boom. Well, there goes my zen. And you're right back where you were. Now, is it going to, obviously, you're not going to fix it that second, but you've got to work on it. Fix it, change it, or let it go. And if it's a person, it's unfortunate sometimes, but sometimes you have to. And that's what I found with my second husband was, I started growing as a person, and he stayed right here. Of course, he has narcissistic tendencies, so that doesn't help either. But people usually grow together. They say grow old together, but people grow as a person. Life experiences. You go through good times, you go through bad times, you go through so much together. But you grow together. One grows and the other one doesn't. There's not a match there anymore, So sometimes you got to fix it, change it, or let it go. Don't stick around just to please them. Don't stick around just to please the kids. Don't stick around because everybody's going to think I'm a failure if I let this one go. No. You've got to do what's right for you, and what everybody else thinks is none of your business. Again. So these are a lot of the things that go on with self-care, what you need to do on your part, what needs to be done in the world. The world needs a lot of work. It really does. And that's a whole other story, so we're not going to go there today. But it's, as far as how people get attention these days and what they're doing to get that attention, I find it sad. I really do. And, if they're doing it just to make money, whatever. But at the same time, we, as the onlookers of social media, are also enabling a lot of these people. When I see stupid junk coming by my page, I just keep going. Because I know it's not anything. I know it's ridiculous. I know it's somebody just trying to get clicks and likes and comments, and I'm not going there. I'm not playing the game. And what does that do for me if I play the game? That puts me in the same negative energy as all these people that are creating the negative energy. Is that what I want in my life? No. So I don't. And even when other people say, oh my God, did you see this? I'm like, I really don't care. Because I don't. Sometimes something's intriguing, but it depends on what it is. Obviously, the drama, no. But there's some intriguing stories on social media. Of course there are. So you got to pick and choose. You have to pick and choose what's good for you. Watching the news. Oh my God. I haven't watched the news in, I'm going to go 15 years. I have not sat and watched the news on television. Do I see the news? Of course, it's on social media. People talk about stuff all the time, so you see it. But you know what? Sometimes you do need to know what's going on without knowing what's going on. I catch headlines, and if it's something I feel I need to read, I will kind of look into it. If I don't need to, I pass it by. Yep, okay, that's happening, whatever. Next. And I've seen people get so connected to the negativity of the news that their whole personality changes. And that is not a good thing. That is definitely not a good thing. Because it's like, whoa, who are you? I understand people get angry, especially about politics or religion or people that are charged with crimes who get off and things like that. I understand that. But to sit there and watch the news day after day after day and sometimes more than once in a day. Plus you're seeing it on social media. Plus you're talking about it with other people. And you're only focused on that nasty, negative news. What do you think that does for your energy? It turns your energy to shit. It really does. I started noticing, because recently there's been a lot more political stuff floating around. And where I post a lot of my things on all the social media, I also post it on YouTube. So, of course, when you open YouTube, there's lots of stuff there. I got to the point, I'm like, oh, I can't. I can't. The minute I would see a photo of the news, I was like, oh, I just couldn't. It just felt awful, you know? Is your life going to be any better watching the news from 6 to 6:30 every single day? If anything, it's going to be worse. One, majority of it, 95% of it is negative. A lot of times it's repeated day after day after day after day. So you're creating, okay? How does the brain work? The brain works by when you tell it something, you teach it something, it starts to believe it, right? So if you start putting a lot of positive intention into your mind, gratitude into your mind, that's who you become. You sit there in that anger and that negativity day after day after day, you're turning into the same thing. If all you're going to do is sit there and bitch and moan about politics or religion or criminals or anything, your energy is going to be way off. That is not self-care at all. You want to live life through experience, then live it through the experience of positivity, gratitude, and love. And I'm not trying to sound like one of these woo-woo 60s kids of, peace, love, and war and all that. No. Okay, when I say live in love, I don't mean you love everybody. We love everybody because we're all interconnected. But you live life through a positive way that is a loving way. Okay? So I can look at something and go, you know what, that really sucks. I don't like it, but I wish it well. I send it love, say a prayer, whatever. Okay, we have to start turning this stuff around. We have to, because it's the world is in such a negative space right now, and it just feels terrible. It's uncomfortable. But I will sit here and I will think, I'm sending little hearts, right? I don't care how you do it. As long as it's positive, it doesn't matter. But I'm sending little hearts to the world, to our country for what it needs, to other countries that are fighting. Send them love, send them love, send them love. Can my love, just mine, do anything? No, but if everybody did a little bit of that, look how fast negativity travels, right? 1,000,000 miles an hour. Drama can go around the world in a moment. But yet positivity is like, okay. Negativity travels like the speed of light. I don't know if you guys remember, and you may not all know, but during COVID, of course, we were all stuck at home, and John Krasinski, the actor from The Office, he started a podcast show called, oh my God, what was it? It was all about today's great news, and it was all positive, all uplifted, and he was getting people from all over the country, like some 10-year-old girl who ran a car wash to raise money for an animal shelter. Everything he did was positive, and it was the positive news. Why don't we have that? And it's unfortunate. I know he's probably a busy man. He's a celebrity. He's on shows, movies, and so on. So I get it, but it's like he didn't continue with that. It was like once COVID, the shutdown was over, it was like it stopped. And I was like, wow, that was kind of fun watching the different great things going on in the world. And I was like, I wish somebody would continue that. So who knows? Maybe I will, maybe somebody else will, who knows? But can't we use more of that? I think so. I definitely think so. There's been too much bitching and moaning, right? Too much of those who fight with their parents to whatever age, right? Too much fighting with siblings, too much fighting with bosses, too much fighting with friends. You know, what is going on? We look for the worst in everything and everyone. Why do human beings do that? It's so easy to judge. It's so easy to knock someone down. Would it kill anybody to just go up to somebody and say, wow, you look nice today? I've done it. And everybody thinks, oh yeah, if a guy went up to some woman and said, oh, hey, you look nice, she'd probably take it the wrong way. That's your assumption. Doesn't mean it's truth. I've looked at people and I'm going, oh my God, your hair is gorgeous. You know what I mean? Or, somebody holds a door. Thank you so much. That was sweet. We need more of that. And again, if somebody takes it the wrong way, you turn around and say, well, I'm sorry you took it that way. That's not how I meant it, but I hope you have a great day. And walk away. Keep it positive. Keep it positive. I don't know what else to tell you. Right? It's really not that hard. We make it hard. Why do we do that to ourselves? Stop making things hard. Work on doing your best every day to do positive things, think positive, feel positive, say positive, be positive, right? We need that. There's too much anger in the world. There's too much judgment. There's too much of all that negative stuff. Time to change it. And you know what? No, you can't change the world. But you can change the way you treat the world. And if everybody just focused on what they were doing, that ripple effect alone would change a lot. So don't despair. Always look up. Always love. Always be kind. And when you can't, go meditate. Do what you need to do. When you're going through stuff that's not easy, try journaling. Write a letter, writing down exactly how you feel about the whole situation. Yell, scream, holler, swear. I don't care. Don't worry about penmanship or spelling. Just get it all out and let it all go. Self-care is important. So stop worrying about everybody else and start worrying about you for a change. I'm sure everyone is grateful that you help and that you're there and that you do things. But remember you, because eventually you won't be here. A lot of us won't be here. At one point or another, none of us will be here. So take care of you so you can enjoy this place and enjoy everyone else. So that is my talk for this week, guys. I just want to say thank you for listening. I hope I made a lot of sense for you. I'm hoping that, you understood a lot of what I was talking about. But again, let's just each do our own part. Everybody does one thing. It's like throwing rocks in the lake. If one person throws a rock, it creates some ripples. If 2 people throw rocks in the lake, it causes more ripples. If 10 people throw rocks in the lake, that's a lot of ripples, right? We can do that. We can do that. So this is Mama Christine signing off for this week. Thank you again for listening, and I look forward to next week. But I'm going to ask you guys right here and right now, and I'll be posting it on social media in a positive way. What questions would you want to ask me? Anything to do spiritually, positively, healing, readings, angels, whatever it may be. Is there something you're going through that you maybe want some feedback on? Let me know. Leave it in the comments. I will check it out and I will read as many as I can next week. So keep that in mind. So happy Thursday, happy podcast, happy life. Love you guys. Thanks so much. See you next week.